Hi, Chris. So I was out Friday night hunting NGC 7822, and it was so humid and so cold. It wasn't really the night for sleeping in the car, but I did it anyway. So since yesterday, I'm down with a slight fever, and I really cut myself a nice man flu. And but today I'm a bit fitter, so I had a chance to look at your problem you've had there. So, but I really do assume when we look at this that you're overcorrecting your lights. Means that for some reason the flats don't fit uh, and the darks don't fit either, because this amp glow stuff here is from your darks, and uh, because when I look at the master dark and the master bias, no, sorry, master flat, master dark, and master bias from your bubble shots, they all look quite well and seem to fit, especially when we see the master files I get out of my pre-processing. No, where's the other one? Plop. Here, and we got the man. This guy's slow. So you got the first run, and you got the master files, which work quite well. What I've also done at the very beginning, unfortunately I didn't save it. What I've done, I took one of your subsets, your OI set in particular, and just aligned it and just stacked it. So no calibration at all, and that worked quite well, even without subtracting the darks. Um, I should have shown you. I don't know. I was in the screencast a minute ago, so I got that mixed up. I don't really have that here anymore. But at least that's a try if you're not really moving forward to that. I saw your thread in the astrophotography channel, and with Andreas. I downloaded yours as well and took a look. But unfortunately, you can't really use them. I'm afraid you save these in 8-bit or in 16-bit, because when I stretch this stuff, what happens? So just a regular screen transfer function, something like this will happen. That means I'm really missing a lot of the data that I actually need for this to be properly stacked. I can't really read out a 16-bit, I suppose, so that's really not enough, and you're always bloody light, so there's nothing in there to really go for as well. But doesn't matter. Just really do try to keep and stack that with PixInsight. This will work. If you like, I'll give you another run through it. So when you got the batch pre-processing script, you can do all this manually, but this really works when you do it correctly. Add your bias. Use these buttons down here. One thing up front, as you said, you might have gotten mixed up with the files. When you've got your data set, as you have here, and you know you're going to have files that are going to be duplicates in file names. So to avoid that overwriting and getting him the export directory, all you need to do in the first run is calibrate the bias once, calibrate the darks once. You can do that in your first channel run. So actually I'm going to add my bias, your bias, and go up here, add all your bias shots, which we've done before, which we got here. So then I'm going to go to the darks. I'm going to add the darks down here. With the darks, it won't matter. There's one thing. I've already looked at your FITS headers. SharpCap, which you're using, is doing the following. He's writing down your camera. He's inserting your camera temperature and your exposure time. What you don't have is your filters. So this will be something you have to work out here. But as you see, and the binning, pardon me, the binning is in there as well. So that might help later on for the binning as well. So when you do your bias, throw in your bias binning 1, throw in your bias binning 2, do the same thing for your darks, and then add your flats for the corresponding channel you want to use in this run. So I'm going to go for the flats, for the C flats, plop. Gonna add these in here as well, and then I'm gonna add the S2. Sorry, I got used to saying C and OE and H. Gonna add the S2 shots now, since we have the S2 flats. So what I've done here is I've used a tool to batch rename this, as I've told you before. Otherwise you'll really, and I bet you have much more subsets than you have just for the bubble if you've been on this for so many nights. And when you have every run starting with capture 1 to whatever, and you've got this like 4 or 5 times, it's going to be quite cumbersome doing that, since you want to do each channel on each run. So try to look for a freeware tool you're running on Windows that will do a batch rename. I bet there are tons of tools out there. I'm using Adobe Bridge for that. And when I've got your files like this, I've got a tool here. The stuff will look similar, where you can do string exchange, add something, a suffix, a prefix, whatever, and then you can batch rename the whole set. And this is really, really, really helpful. I've got a small freeware tool just for OS X. This thing is integrated in Bridge, so I use this, but I bet there are freeware tools for Windows out there as well. So I'm going to add all your C's now, all your S2s, pardon me, because I already renamed them corresponding to the folder name, so I won't get duplicates and I won't get PixInsight overwriting capture 1 all the time with the last capture 1. I'm going to say register on the first frame. Doesn't matter, before you do the alignment you can always manually register in PixInsight again. So I'm going to go for the image integration. I'm going to use the median linear fit clipping already, because I know it's a very weak signal. Would be good using that for the Puve one as well, and use the linear fit clipping if you have these big sets of shots, anything above 15. In the PDF is actually very helpful. I sent you the link with this, really moves you step by step through it. Very important, do not check bottom fits, leave all the other stuff unchecked as well. Now select your output directory. So we're gonna use another one. I've got so many in here, so we're gonna use this test again. So, and I'm gonna say run. So, and this will take a while, and I will hit pause. Okay, this felt like almost half an hour. So look, what he's done now, well, first of all, let's look what he did in the Finder. I said you have these 3 folders now. The master files, all your registered Z, S2s, pardon me, and your calibrated flats. And we're gonna make a subfolder in here and call this S2, just for later, just in case we actually, usually I never really have to get to these again, because once the flat is done, flat is fine, because I already have a flat here. I'm going to call that now S2. So I've got that light. I'm going to call that S2 as well, because we know that's the only light he's done. He's got both darks, he's got the bias, he's got the S2 flat, he's got the S2 light. So what we're going to do now, we're going to clear this, and we're going to clear the flats. What he's done now is check these, because we're going to use the master bias now, and we're going to use the master dark now, but we're not going to use a master flat again. So we're going to add flats again, this time next channel, which will be, let's go for the O3. So we're going to add the O3, so we're going to add the lights for O3 as well. Here again, I've already renamed all the subfolders. Say open. So, and then I can do this again just by hitting run. So it's going to calibrate flats into a master flat and do the whole processing, all my lights, and we'll put the lights into a, hold on a second, into a corresponding folder. So we're going to need, no, these are already S2 labeled. Okay, so that looks good. And these are labeled O3, that's fine. Just the flats aren't labeled, so I can set run. Hit pause again. Okay. Test, we're on air again. Okay, so he's through with the OE3. By the way, I've made a mistake as well. At least, well, I forgot something. It's not a big deal, but the registration reference image. Oh, I love that one. Tongue breaker. Do you say that in English? A Zungenbrecher? Well, anyway, I forgot to use one of these from the OE3 channel, and I still have the S2 OO3 S2 channel in here. And but it doesn't matter because it's good, because I'm now aligning them all on this one shot, and this will work. So we go again. We clear this stuff. We add the lights. We go to the H alpha. Actually, this really takes ages. It takes like about half an hour every time I'm doing this. So we're going to clear the flats again, keep the darks in the bias. Going to clear the flats, add the H alpha flats. From here and say open. Uncheck the master flat, clear, add again. See? So I'm still in the H alpha flats. He reminds, erinnert sich an den letzten Ordner. Okay, so, and let's see what he's done in here. He says he got all these registered, fine. I was looking to calibrate it. He's got the OE and the Z in the calibrated as well, and what he's done on the flat, exactly, is the Z. I'm going to add here another folder for OE3 and put all these in here. Actually, I don't need to, but just to keep it sorted. So because he's gonna, the next time he's gonna add them on this level. What do you call that? Auf dieser Ordnerebene wird die einfügen, und deshalb interessieren nicht die Unterordner, und wir können fröhlich in neue Unterordner sortieren. Okay, so I'm gonna hit run again and pause this. Run, pause this. Okay, so I'm back. Sorry, I quit this now because actually right now, parallel to this, I'm chatting with you in the on Facebook with Andreas, and one thing I want to show you on top, not to get if you don't want to or have the time to rename all your lights, you can as well when you do the batch pre-processing, and wow, this thing is laggy as heck. And you're adding your lights. You can, if you want to, put them as your target folder wherever you want, especially when you want to use just the folders you have. So you go into your S2 and you don't select both folders, but you just select one folder. Do the same thing with the output directory. As I said, when you run the registered and the calibrated, what we did here, remember in the calibrated, when we after each run we sorted the flats. What we done here? No, here. And so he always adds the last stack he's made up on the highest. What highest path of the folder? Die höchste Ordnerebene. Heck, I have no idea what that is in English. But you know what I mean. So what you do, you just add a new subfolder corresponding to the channel you're using, and you sort that stuff in there, and then you go back to batch pre-processing and you run again. So you can always stay in this test thing where he already has the subfolder sorted, and he will always put them on the highest order of that folder path thing, Ordner, Hierarchieebene, and you can resort them afterwards. So go back, do a run with just one set of lights from one subfolder, sort them in there, do the next, sort them in there, do the next, sort them in there. Same thing with the flats. So darkened bias, you don't actually have to touch. You just keep the masters you've made, but just for the flats and lights, you go one after the other. And I've got the latest stack open here, just as an add-on in the end. And when I look at your shots, holy macaroni! I mean, there's really nothing in there. It's like nothing. Nothing. And the problem is the 16 bits is just, see how I start scribbling here? Same as when I do a super stack here, this just tears out. And the point is, this 16-bit saving is not good. At least 32 bits of floating point. I never understood why P was so picky about always using 32 bits, and I thought, man, the files are way too big for that. But now I understand. When you're in linear, always go for the largest, the highest color depth you can go. So on this point, this is 32-bit floating bits. So then something like that won't happen. But keep wherever, if you have in DSS a button for 32 bits, check it. Otherwise, please, I would recommend really do that in PixInsight. It's a bit of a hassle, but once you get along with the batch pre-processing, especially with these large set of subs, this can be really entnervend, mühsam, nervenaufzehrend sein, and but it's worth the while. So maybe try with a set of data that isn't as big as the Bouvet. Maybe try one of your other targets first, and once you get acquainted with the script, then go for the Purgatory Werthammer, because even the bubble, I mean, it takes ages here. These files are really big, and for one run, even my machine takes around about 20 minutes to half an hour. So, well, Chris, Google Hangout, I'm still for that. You just give me a call whenever we do find a time frame where we both are up and away. As I said, I'm sick, I'm home, I won't be going to work tomorrow either, but I think when I wake up tomorrow morning at 5, that will be around midnight at Philly, so I don't know, maybe later, so it's 6, maybe around midnight here in Berlin, then we might have a chance. Well, I don't know how your time looks tonight, just try it. I'm here, call me, write me a mail, chime me on Facebook, whatever. Cheers, mate.